There's only one God. So Jesus. So because in Judaism they don't accept the New Testament because you're not allowed to add anything to it. You know. I mean, the New Testament is not part of the Bible. You know, if you're a true Christian, you should try and follow the Torah, which means you don't have to convert to Judaism. So when you read the history of the Old Testament,
You know about us?
You actually asked a very interesting.
Do you know what's happening to
Yeah,
us?
of course, it's terrible.
And they are going to extradite him.
Yeah, it's
on
ridiculous.
This Wednesday.
Yeah.
We need to fight for him.
Yeah, of course.
Can you please join us at Westminster Magistrate Court?
We're with you, of course.
Okay, can I give you a leaflet?
The thing is, I don't want to waste that because it'd probably end up in the bin. But I know.
I have loads.
It's okay. I want to keep
Do
our
you know
pockets
about
clean.
it? Yeah.
If you can come on Wednesday at 9 in the morning.
Are you guys from Pakistan?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
Imran Khan. Oh my God, it's unbelievable. You know, we need to stop being.
We need to organize ourselves and work together. Actually.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, I see.
100%.
Sorry, I apologize.
No, it's okay. So Victor, you asked a very good question. You said, what religion, just before you move on, what religion was Jesus? We as Muslims, we believe that Jesus was a Muslim, Moses was a Muslim, Dawood was a Muslim, and our definition of a Muslim is somebody who testifies and who preaches one God and themselves as the messenger, like Moses said La ilaha illallah, and then Musa Rasulullah, Ruhullah, Kalimatullah, or whatever the kalima was. So it's very interesting because when you look at it from a Christian paradigm, of course it doesn't make sense. Exactly like you said, he used to speak Hebrew, he was preaching the Torah, and of course he said, I've been sent to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. So yeah, according to the paradigm,
the lost sheep of Jacob.
Yeah.
Because remember when Jacob was wrestling with the angel, and Jacob said, what is your name? What's your name? He said, why not my name? He says, your name is Israel. And when God said, your name is Israel, the 12 tribes of Israel, the 12 sons of Jacob. And you see, with Christianity, I can't see where this myth has come from. I say to the Lord, I'm going to be ignorant and I'm going to become a fool, right? I'm going to become stupid. You say Jesus is God and he dies upon the cross. He says, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? Now, I'm a fool and I'm an idiot, right? Christians say Jesus is God, and I said, well, you'd already killed him because he's on the cross. God doesn't exist.
Facts.
Because you say, you killed God.
That's it.
Oh, no, you're misinterpreting. No, if Jesus was, what did he say? My God, why hast thou forsaken me?
That's a very good point.
Why have you forsaken me? Why have you done this to me?
Yeah.
No, this weren't supposed to happen.
Yeah.
But the Christians say he had to die for somebody else's sin. But in the Old Testament, that is forbidden. Like your son attacks me, right? I can't blame you. Or his brother attacks, I can't blame him. But I only blame the person.
Yes.
You take that person, but you don't persecute the parents or anything like that.
Agreed.
Because you see, when they say that, Jesus taken all our sin, only God can forgive sin.
Again, another good point.
You can't pray through man, because God clearly says to the children of Israel, there is none beside me but me. Worship me alone. And the people of Israel, they worship so many different things, like a cow or whatever they're doing. Like Hinduism, I'm not going to keep them carrying because I know you want to talk. And with Islam, I can't see how you can accept that Jesus is a prophet. I can tell he's a rabbi, which means he's a teacher. But a prophet, okay, you should say he's a prophet. But, if you accept Jesus, then you're more or less on the same path of the Christians. Because you're more or less on, you know, say, well, the Christians believe in Jesus as God, we believe he's a prophet. But the Christians say, yes, we believe he's a prophet and he's God. So, you know, I'm not attacking Islam anywhere like that.
No, Victor, one thing I like about you is you're direct, and I want you to not feel like, oh, I don't want to attack you. You speak frankly, speak openly, speak honestly. You're not going to get any resistance from me. Yeah, because in the search of truth, sometimes you have to be honest. Yeah, you have to be blunt sometimes, because you have to answer those ants, those niggling thoughts that are in your head. So yeah, I'd appreciate if you are as direct as you want to be. But my question is this, Victor: what's your belief regarding the Prophet Muhammad?
I have no problems with the Prophet Muhammad.
You haven't?
I have no problem. I can't take this off because I'm going to pop in your face right a bit.
No, it's okay. You can take it off if you want.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Right, because I've got a cold.
I'm young, you know. I can just.
I mean, I've got a cold, so I don't
have a nice iftar and I'll be fine.
Okay. I don't have any problems with the Prophet.
It's the first time I've actually seen your face, man.
Yeah, you know.
Handsome man.
No, I don't have any problems with the Prophet Muhammad. No problems at all.
No. What's your belief regarding him? I know you wouldn't have a problem because you're a rational human being.
Okay. This is what I think I know about the Prophet Muhammad.
Very good.
Back in them days, the Arabs, whoever they were, worshipped all different sorts of idols and all that craziness.
Yes.
And the Prophet, for some unknown reason, went up to the mountain and sat there. The scholars don't know what exactly he was doing, but he sat there, and an angel came to him and said, read. Didn't hug him, just said, read. And he said, I can't read. Just read, I can't read. He showed him a book, and the Prophet, I can't read. But my understanding is the book wasn't physical, it was spiritual. He was showing you something. Because remember, the Prophet Muhammad never ever written anything in the Quran. It came afterwards. Right? So it was only a spiritual book that he saw. And then the Spirit of God moved upon him, and he went down from the mountain and started talking to people about a new religion or a new faith, because they were more or less believing in certain things. And what I know that he went to a house and he started preaching, and people started to listen, and people say, hey, you know, this guy Muhammad, I've never heard anything like this before in my life. This guy, I don't know where he's from, but I can hear something. And each time it started to prove. And the Arabs, I know there's the Quraysh, whatever the name is, didn't like him because they said this man is destroying our way of life. We have to kill him. So the Prophet left. He left and he went to Medina and started the faith. But I don't think it was called Islam. I think it was just everyone believed in God and one.
So what do you think about all that?
What do I think about it? I find that something must
Be honest though, yeah? Be honest.
Okay, something must have happened to him to have made him go up to that mountain. Because perhaps he's sat, but I mean, sometimes you can sit down and watch all these students. These people bringing all these idols, and why? Is there a God? Is there a God? And because you know, Muhammad always travels as a Bedouin. That's what people say, he was a Bedouin. Because he didn't have any knowledge of writing, but money. He could sell camels and all that sort of thing. And that's where his knowledge had. But somehow he walked up there and God just chose him. You know, God could choose anybody. You know, he could choose you or him and him. But he started something different. And he will go to the Jews, and they will listen to him, and he will go to the Christians, and they will listen to him. But somewhere along the line, the Jews rejected him for some unknown reason. They rejected him. No, this is not part of us. Muhammad is different from Jesus Christ, because your faith doesn't say, well, he's God, and you know, because what I hear from Smile2Jannah, that when Muhammad was speaking, he would literally shiver, you know, like strangeness come over it, and he would speak. And where did Muhammad just get that from? You know, and he would say many things, but I still say that Muhammad is a prophet, yes, but Jesus is another thing because.
So you believe Prophet Muhammad is a prophet?
Yeah. But it's that Jesus I don't agree, because with that man, I say that man, there's so much confusion. You know, people have put things on him. You know, I mean that weren't meant to be, because I don't know what he was doing. Oh, he was healing the sick, he was healing the poor, he was doing this, he was doing that. But when the Christians said that Jesus said, "He that has seen me has seen the Father." But I say to them, no, he never said that. He said, "You've seen me, you've seen the works of God, you've seen how I heal people and do this. This is God that's brought to you. You have seen the works of the Almighty. You have seen. There is no death, there is no nothing. This is what I'm doing. This is the kingdom of God." Because when people say, "Oh, he said that, so he must be God." Because Jesus never said he was God. He always prayed.
So with regards to Jesus, let's just put that on the side for now, because you clearly have a difference of opinion with regards to the belief with regards to Jesus. You gave an understanding of the seerah of the Prophet, life of the Prophet. There were some things that you said that are correct. There's some things that obviously are incorrect, but I'm sure you realize that yourself as well, which you can further your knowledge. There's a book called The Sealed Nectar if you want to learn about the Prophet. But so coming back to the main point, you believe in a God, one God.
I believe only one God, yes.
Okay. You believe that Prophet Muhammad is a prophet of God.
Yeah.
Do you believe he's the final prophet of God?
He's the last prophet.
The last prophet. You believe in the angels.
I believe in all angels.
You believe in all the angels. You believe in all the prophets that have come, except of course Jesus.
Yes. I believe Abraham, from Moses, all the way back to Adam and Eve and all that.
You believe in the books that were revealed? Like books have been revealed by God to previous nations, and the Quran?
Yeah, the Torah and the Quran. But the New Testament, no.
Okay.
Because it's been added on.
Yes.
See, that when you go to Jewish history, there is no New Testament. There is no New Testament.
I think even Christians would agree with you, to be honest.
No, because when you see that book, it's added many things. They're saying, well, where Paul says Jesus is God, but really Paul wasn't there when Jesus was around. So
yes.
The apostles never said he was God. They said, yes, you are the Son of God.
Yeah, I agree.
Not God himself.
In fact, I agree with you also that the book has been changed. That's why the Quran needed to be revealed, because the previous scriptures had been corrupted and changed. Things were added in, things were taken out. So that's what we believe. So your belief is in line with us. Do you believe that all good and bad comes from God, and that there is a day of judgment as well?
There is a day of judgment, but I don't believe that you'll go to heaven. I believe when you're dead, that's it. There's nothing above.
Oh, so you don't believe that after you die there is a reckoning?
Well, you get judged, but after that, you don't go to heaven. Because remember, you are impure. God is very pure. How can an impure person stand in front of God Almighty, which is pure as water? If you look at it, I say, I can see where you're coming from. But God judges people, but not while you're in the grave.
Oh, so you believe after you die you are judged, but in the grave?
You're in the grave, you're dead.
You're dead. Oh, so there's no judgment, in other words.
The judgment is what we have in now.
Okay, you believe it's in this world.
Yeah,
it's like karma, yeah?
Because when you read the Old Testament, where David says, how can the dead praise you? Even so, when Saul went to the woman and said, bring up Samuel, I want to speak to him. And Samuel came up from the dead and said, why have you called me from the grave? You know, this is, God is now against you because you brought me up from the grave. I mean, I know it sounds confusing to you, but when you look at it, there is heaven.
But Victor, how do you reconcile the fact that you believe in the Quran, you believe that the Prophet was the last messenger, and both the Quran and both the Prophet say that there is a day of judgment, that there is a life after death, there is a paradise, there is a hellfire? How do you reconcile the two?
With that's because what I read in the Bible is the Old Testament. There is no resurrection.
So you read the Old Testament.
There is no resurrection. Because when you read the Old Testament from slowly, you read there is no resurrection. David's dead. Abraham's dead. Moses is dead. Jacob is dead. The 12 sons of Jacob is dead. There is no resurrection. That resurrection has come from the New Testament. Because I don't remember ever God in the Old Testament bringing a person back to life and say, now go on, preach. No, God doesn't do that. See, God used the living, not the dead. God used you, and you. Because when you think about it, that thing you're speaking about, the heavens, doesn't exist.
But the thing, Victor, is the Old Testament here differs to the final testament, which is the Quran. Because in the Quran, we don't believe that the prophets are dead. We believe that they are alive, but they are alive in a transitional state called the barzakh. Yeah, so are the martyrs. That if you die, defending your family or your faith, then you die as a martyr and you're not dead. Yeah, you're in a suspended kind of state, or in a realm, not a suspended state, in a realm called the barzakh. So you're alive. Yeah, that was the first thing. Second thing, this is actually what you said is actually answered by the Quran itself. That do they believe that just because you are dead, you're buried, and your bones are scattered, that God cannot bring those back together and raise you again? For God, it is nothing. Yeah, so that's why I'd encourage you, Victor. You're reading the Old Testament, but I would say read the Final Testament, because the Final Testament, I will argue also that the Old Testament has been changed, just as the New Testament, which I know you don't accept anyway, but the Old Testament has fabrications in it as well and interpolations in it. In fact, even logically, if you think about it, there's no way for the Old Testament to be preserved. It's absolutely illogical to assume that it would be preserved. Logically speaking, as a Muslim standing here, I can logically tell you in a way that you'll be able to understand that the Quran is preserved. And quite simply, I would just say that the Quran, first, you said that the angel Gabriel came with a book and said read. We say the angel Gabriel came and said recite. Yeah, he didn't bring a book. And the Prophet repeated it and it settled in his heart. Yeah, so the Quran is a verbal tradition which was later written down. So the Quran doesn't rely on people writing it down. Christianity and Judaism both are regarded as a bookish religion. And as I'm sure you realize, when you're copying stuff down, as they did initially, when you write it down, it might be nighttime, you might be tired, your eyes might be wavering. Sometimes you write a mistake. Yeah, a mistake creeps in.
And the language changes.
The language changes. Then, let's just say I write it, then you want a copy of my copy. I copied it from him. Yeah, I had a mistake, then you're going to copy it, you're going to make mistakes of your own, and you're going to copy my mistake as well. Because there's no tradition in Judaism, there's no tradition in Christianity of memorization. Yeah, it all depends on the writing, the bookish nature of it. Even hadith, sayings of the Prophet as well. Islam is the only religion, yeah, that has something called a chain of transmission. this is what we were discussing last time. The chain of transmission is nothing short of a miracle. Yeah, it's something which is a field in itself. If I was to delve into, you would be left in awe, and this is something that only Islam has to offer. Christianity, or let's just say even Judaism.
Correct you on that.
Go ahead.
Now, when you say it's not something that is carried on, it's a written, it's not only a written.
Just memorized it.
Yeah, there is, because it shows you that the Lord said He will write it in everyone's heart. It's a part. I tell you, there is Deuteronomy 30:10. It talks about that the Lord will write it in every one of His children's heart. So it's not only written. It's by, practical behavior, and the reason for that it continues into the Quran, because there is a family within the Quran that upholds that very principle, that they have a particular verse, they have a particular surah for themselves. And it's Surah, the third Surah, Surah Imran.
All right, I'm conscious that Victor's picked up his bags and Victor's got to go. So
No, I'm not going to go. It's just,
okay, yeah.
because I was going to ask you to move up that way or that way.
We'll speak later. We'll speak after. But I think that the evidence comes from your next answer. How many people have memorized the Bible today?
Well, we cannot identify the numbers of people,
Approximately, no problem.
But there is families and groups.
Approximately how many would you say?
Approximately.
Because I haven't come across a single one.
Because there's a lot. There's a lot. I know you haven't come across a single one.
That's why it'll be interesting.
But there is, depending on how often you travel, the places that you do go, it all depends.
Sorry,
on
what's your name?
Lancelot.
Lancelot.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a nice name. It's quite traditional.
Yeah,
It's from the knights.
It's passed down. It's inherited.
So Lancelot. That sounds nice to even say it. So Lancelot, how many would you say have memorized it? Because honestly, I haven't come across a single one in all of my studies that claim to have memorized the Bible from cover to cover.
Because it's a lot of information.
I understand, but you said according to the Bible, God's written it in everybody's hearts, so you should have loads then, isn't it?
There should be loads.
Yeah.
Obviously based on how the versions is taken, because there's people today.
Very good.
Even
there's loads of versions, over 60.
No, the version, how is it like? There's an order of things, right?
Yeah.
So there could be first five writings. That there's some people that in Zimbabwe that have preserved even in their cultural, behavior. They call the Bantu people.
So you're saying preserving in terms of actions, not words, yeah?
As what? Because the action derives to a expression. The words derive to an expression. Which the word derives to an expression.
I think that's why. Because my point was exactly this: that there's no one that's memorized the Old Testament, the New Testament, or there will be maybe one or two remotely.
You may not know them, but there is people. There is actually.
Yeah, maybe one or two. But what we're saying is the Quran itself, from the get-go, it was memorized. The hadith or the sayings of the Prophet, they were also memorized as well.
The highest ranks with the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Sahaba ajma'in.
Ameen. So, the Quran was memorized from the get-go, from the beginning, from the Prophet. And I think the point that I was trying to say was Jesus hadn't memorized it, the disciples hadn't memorized it. That much we can agree on, isn't it? And then the first generation after, they hadn't memorized it. So it's not a tradition amongst Christians to memorize the book, and neither amongst the Jews.
Certain, because like I say, there's not.
No, there's not a single disciple.
Because there's some people who things have a sacred, have a tradition of family that they keep it in their household.
Okay, let me give you an example. The Prophet's close companion was Abu Bakr. Yeah, after him was Umar. Yeah, they had memorized the Quran. They had memorized sayings of the Prophet. The Prophet himself had memorized it. Uthman, he'd memorized it, and he would recite it regularly. Ali had not only memorized it, but he would recite it. So after the Prophet, I've told you in succession, the people that have come, all have not only memorized it, but they had memorized his sayings as well, to such a degree.
Yeah, that's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like that saying, still still needs, proof.
I will give you proof, Lancelot. I will give you proof. But you're still here, yeah? Okay, let me just finish with Victor.
No,
because
I'm going to be here. I'm not leaving.
Oh, you're not leaving?
No, I was just this guy here who I know with the dark glasses on.
Okay.
I thought he was going to stand there and start.
Yeah. Okay. So you're here as well, yeah?
So I'm just saying, just like how you're saying that you can't really find, we still need proof of both of these things.
Okay, what do you require proof for?
He said memorization, to remember,
right.
Understand? So you still need proof on both ends that the original sayings have been remembered to this time.
Okay.
You understand?
All right. We have something called a chain of transmission. Yeah? So chain of transmission is a way that we have preserved sayings of the Prophet and we have preserved the Quran. Yeah? Now me standing here, I'm going to give you an example of a chain of transmission right here, right now. I'm going to link it directly to the Prophet. Yeah? That's a big claim I'm making. So the Prophet, peace be upon him, there's a saying that's been attributed to him which is ironic, because the Prophet said, if somebody wrongly attributes something to me, then he has, in effect, reserved a place in the hellfire for themselves. Yeah? So this is a saying. Now, I have read this in a book by Muhammad ibn Shaybani. Yeah, Muhammad al-Shaybani. He got it from his teacher, Imam Abu Hanifa. Yeah? So Imam Abu Hanifa, he got it from Al-Atiyya Al-Awfi. Al-Atiyya Al-Awfi got it from Abu Sa'id Al-Khudri radiyallahu anhu. And Abu Sa'id Al-Khudri got it from Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, peace be upon him. What I've now done is I've given you, standing here, an entire chain. I can tell you every single person in this chain, which I've done so. We know their names, we know their tribes. So we know hadith from sanad, matan and tarikh. Yeah, so the chain from the text itself and from the date of the narration itself as well. Yeah, so we can critique that nobody can come and attribute something to the Prophet that was said to him without an academic saying this is impossible. It's absolutely impossible. Yeah, so this is just one chain that I've given. There are chains that are even smaller than this, even smaller. There's one where the Prophet is saying, you will be with whom you love on the day of judgment. Yeah, with regards to a companion who said, I love you and I love Allah, and the Prophet says to the nearest effect, you will be with whom you love. Yeah, we get that from Imam Malik. Imam Malik gets it from Nafi. Nafi gets it from Abdullah bin Umar, and Abdullah bin Umar gets it from Muhammad, peace be upon him. So not only are we making these empty claims, we are backing it up. Yeah, we're telling you this is the chain. We're telling you who compiled it. We're telling you where it was compiled, and we're showing you the books. Yeah, I have a book at home that was written after the generation of the companions called Kitabul Athar. That's the first book that was written after the generation of the companions. Yeah, behind you have Adnan Rashid. I'm trying to get a coin from him. Yeah, he's actually reserved this from him. He has a coin. Sorry?
Show them on his YouTube channel.
Exactly.
I'm going to grab some people.
Okay, perfect. So he's got a coin.
Yeah.
Now this coin dates all the way to the Prophet, peace be upon him. It's been minted. It's got the Shahada on it. The Shahada is our declaration of faith. That there's none worthy of worship besides Allah, and Muhammad, peace be upon him, is the messenger of God. Yeah, it's got the Hijrah on it. Hijrah is when the Prophet migrated from Mecca to Medina. So all these things can be attested to evidentially, like physically. I would have actually bought that coin. I've got a coin. He hasn't given me the gold one. The one that I've got is, I think, about 150 years, 140 years after the Prophet. I'm trying to get the one that's actually from his times. But do you see, yeah?
That's a good chain. All right. So for that remembrance based on the old Torah, the Old Testament,
Yes.
right? I show you. Today, right now, in Westminster Abbey, they have a book of remembrance that they, every day, each time of the day, they recite the remembrance. And in this habit, you could go there now and see it in real life. There are family members that are addressed within this abbey. And the person that created this abbey, so we're giving a chain of not just, again, the book, but the actual amount of people that are embedded in remembering, I'm saying, the Old Testament, their lineage, their people.
Can you give me one?
So, even myself, my last name is Webb. You could go into the Westminster Abbey right now. You could find that Webb, you could find there, I'll show you.
No, Lawrence, can you, standing here,
I'm sure you look.
give me a chain?
Look, I'm telling you, look, yeah? This is my crescent. So this is based on, this is coming from a royal standpoint. Because because the Westminster, the Parliament of Westminster is the Palace of Westminster. And it was created by King Edward. And King Edward is also called Prince Edward because he's a black prince and he ruled in the kingdom of Granada. And if you know about the kingdom of Granada, it was based on, again, the Islamic Empire, right? So these are kings that have traveled, preserving the faith with the people that because they were traveling on seas. So if we go back to all of the kings, they have been practicing and passing on these lineages, remembrance to their children, and the families that are separated. That's why, I could even, pick up my inheritance and follow the chain lineage because the last name Webb meaning the weaver. It goes back into the most ancient time in Egypt, where it shows you Nephti, the goddess of weaving.
Okay.
And she's also the goddess of
Interesting.
war. So
very good.
This is a chain of narrating that I can do myself.
I'm glad you've told me, yeah, because it's very interesting. You didn't just take it. But just to come back on the point, can you tell me, standing here, the chain yourself?
The chain?
Yeah.
All right.
So we start with Webb,
Yeah.
which is yourself.
Yeah.
Lancelot Webb. It's a wonderful name, by the way. So Lancelot Webb, heard or read from who?
I read from, I could say, the king. So it's King Edward. Right now, it's a book of remembrance.
Okay.
So I said, the book of remembrance.
Yes.
It's
King Edward.
It's in the Abbey.
Okay,
yeah.
so King Edward got it from?
House of David.
That's a house person.
David.
David.
Yeah, Dawood. Yeah, David.
He got it.
David.
He got it from Dawood.
Yeah, David.
Are you sure you want to make that claim?
I'm sure.
Okay, so Dawood got it from?
Again, that's even part of the children of Israel. So he must have got it from the rest of as you know, it's in your book. So it must be going from the rest of them. So Jacob, and then it keeps going back.
Okay, interesting. Now, Lancelot, I'm going to take this one step forward.
Yeah, true.
I'm going to take it one step forward.
I will.
Yeah? Come with me. Join me on this journey.
Yeah.
Because what I'm now going to say is, because we have lineage that's present today. I wasn't talking about lineage. I wasn't talking about genealogy. I'm talking about a chain of narration. Yeah? And in the chain of narration, we know the name. We know how good their memory is. We know their tribe. We know their father's name. We know where they traveled. We know who they sat with. And we know how long they sat with. Now, can you provide me something similar to that in your tradition?
Well, no. I would have to obviously go in more detail, but not in that terminology. There is timeline where I could provide you obviously on a different platform where we sit down and actually break it down.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But Lancelot, you see there's 4 cameras here, yeah?
Yeah.
I can make a bold-faced claim here, yeah? Knowing that this is going to go online and I can be refuted.
Yeah, of course.
I can make this claim that Christianity does not have anything that matches that. I can say that right now.
Okay.
It doesn't have anything that even comes close to that. Yeah? I can name you books, Imam Zahabi's Siyar an-Nubala, which actually goes through narrators. Imam Bukhari, he actually tells us where he sat. The grave of the Prophet to where he would deliver khutbah. He sat between those two, which we believe is a place from paradise. He sat there and he would compile. That's where he wrote his compilation of narrators.
For sure. I mentioned in the Quran itself, that book that mostly you say a lot of people have recited, right? There is surahs that specifically has that the family of that said tradition. For remember, where there has to be an order of narration, like you say, a chain. So for that chain to come all the way to the Prophet, he has to have some dignitary to gain these type of understanding. So within the
when
book,
you say dignitary, what do you mean?
yeah, like something that honor, like people.
How do you measure the honor?
So based on the work, so based on his public duties. So if it's a military, if he, what I'm saying, the clergy.
Okay,
these
so
are
you're saying
people that
judge
have
them based upon the occupation.
Yeah, because I'm sure the Prophet was a military. He had a military stance.
Well, the Prophet was also a
so
general as well.
So
Yeah.
It's not just
But we don't judge the chains by occupation.
Right,
like Abu Huraira didn't have an occupation.
It's the reason because there is more than just a general, like more than just a pedestrian witness. There is general witnesses that is within a greater chain. You understand? It's real. It's a part of the system that we're in, the valued system, and it continues to this day because there is a structure. So in there, like I say, the book compiled, and that book is showing you that okay, there are different surahs that is telling you about these dignitary people, because for them to be written in there, they have to have some form of upstanding, they have some form of credibility. So in Surah 3, which is again the children of Imran, like if this is being memorized properly, and if you would understand what Imran is, then you will show that Old Testament has not changed, because Imran is coming from that Old Testament, and it's written specifically of its own space to express himself, and those that may not fully understand Islam to realize, okay, there's a memorial being placed within a verse, so okay, I could understand where it's coming from.
Okay, so just so I've understood you correctly, you're saying that the Quran has copied from the Old Testament. Is that what you're saying in a roundabout sort of way?
It's a confirmation. It's a
confirmation. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
It is. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Right?
But yeah, we don't deny that.
I know.
Yeah, we don't deny that. So okay, so that point is fine. But coming back to our original point, which is, do you have anything that matches the scrutinization of the people in the chain that Islam has? Because it's all well and good having a chain, but having a science that scrutinizes those narrators, because we have grades of hadith.
Yeah.
We have a hadith which is sahih, yeah? Then there's different levels of sahih as well, yeah? There's different types of chains as well.
I get what you said.
Yeah.
So,
Do you have that in?
So it's based on the kings. So just like I say, if you could go, this is one of the greatest establishments, because even in the Quran it says you have to obey the authorities, right? And the kings, have the upstanding authority. That's why even the Queen to this day, she have one of her titles are Supreme Governor. So she keeps that memorial, and that chain of memorials are all around, within all the facilities.
Don't you think
even
that's
the
a
law
bit,
of the land itself is part of that?
Interesting. For us to grade something, according to one opinion, for us to grade something as mutawatir, there needs to be 10 different chains, that confirm one particular thing. In fact, I've got a book at home which is just compiling mutawatir narrations. Mutawatir narrations mean something which is beyond any doubt. There's so many companions that have narrated that particular hadith, it's simply absurd to deny it. Yeah? So when you're saying that it goes through a monarch, that's one narration.
But
that's risky.
It's one, but it's the supreme one because it's governing the whole entire population.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? It keeps the oldest chain of narration. It keeps it in a form where you could see the behavior, you could see the attributes, you could see the customs, you could see the. You know what I'm saying? It's
written
everything.
down or memorized?
Written down, and a part of the customs of certain.
Do you think the writing can be changed by mistake?
course, because there's editions, there's new editions. Just like
So you're
there's
saying
editions of the Quran in different, you know what I'm saying, there's in different countries, there's an edition. There's all editions
no,
everywhere. No?
there's only one.
I know there's only one,
Yeah.
as in you would know there's only one,
Yeah.
but there is editions. There is a, so if you could, there is editions, of course there's
What do you
editions.
mean by maybe we're
Editions,
speaking past
just
each other?
like people that say, okay, let me translate it in West.
Yeah, that's a translation then, not addition.
Of course, that's an addition of a translation.
Okay, so if you're taking that definition, no problem. Yeah, no
I'm
problem.
not sure. Just to say, okay, you have, it's the same clothes, but there's a title, there's a name going to be on it. So it could be a second edition of the same clothes, but because they have they created different patterns and things like that, it's morally, it's added, added information. So those that from far away could better translate what the original is saying. Huh?
So if you're taking translation to mean addition, that's fine, no problem. I don't have an issue. Yeah, no problem. But so what was the point that we were? Okay, so here was my point. You said that the books can be changed, but my thing is exactly this, Lancelot. The books can be changed.
Yeah, true. I said it.
But my original point that I was speaking to Victor about was Islam doesn't rely on books.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Yeah.
true. It doesn't. I agree.
And because of that, that's what makes Islam absolutely, completely, totally unique. Because of the chain of narration, the knowledge that we have of the people in the chains, our ability to critique those people and have a science in itself to preserve our tradition. No other religion can make this claim. That was my point originally, and that's where you came and you said, look, I have a dispute with regards to that.
Just even like they said, no other religion. That's why there is the attributes of the remembrance. So obviously, it's like the compilance of that remembrance. There is, at the standards of it, the highest standard is that it does not change, because you're still seeing kings and queens to this day that have preserved the same.
No, but it relies on the book.
Yeah.
The king got it.
Remember I'm saying, you said without no reading, yeah?
Yeah, memorization.
Yeah. So there is cultures, roots of people without memorizing, because, like I say, Abraham didn't have no memory of what is written. He just behaved in his way, right? And the
I
rest
don't
of
know
them,
about that.
Abraham had a book, right? You say
Yeah, but
Abraham had a book?
they had.
Where's the book that Abraham
Yeah,
had?
they had. Yeah, Ibrahim. Yeah.
Where's the book that Adam had? Where's the book that? Keep going.
Yeah,
down the line.
Adam had
Where's
something
all
called sahifas. Yeah, they were like booklets. Yeah,
Go on.
as Muslims, we don't claim that they've been preserved. The whole reason for another book to come afterwards is because the previous book has been changed. Either there's been interpolations, things added in, or taken out.
So remember, from the point you're saying that without the book, it can still continue, right? So if we're not sure that Adam had a book, but if you might be sure, but you're saying in this day we're not sure, yeah. If you're saying that Abraham had a book, but in this day,
I think
we're
I
not
get your
sure.
point.
You get what I'm
I
trying to
think
say?
I get your point. And yeah, how do we know that Abraham had a book? How do we know Adam had a book? Okay, so when
Because we know from the Torah, it's being described that God has given a book. So
yeah,
from
that's what we believe.
From that
Yeah.
point, there wasn't no giving of a book. You understand? So it's showing you the ultimate authority giving a book.
Yeah.
You understand? And before that, there weren't no, discovery of any type of form in that way. So the life, the style, and the life, and the attribute and the tradition that they carried was, you could say, you could say it's Islam then, yeah, because you're claiming that it can be done without a book. So that lifestyle is a great reference to saying Islam then.
I think what you're saying is a very good point. Yeah, and that's what again makes Islam unique, because no other prophet, no other book was given the assurance that their book would remain preserved. The Quran is the only book that God has given assurance that it will be preserved. Why? Because it's the last book, and the Prophet is the last messenger. Yeah, and there is no prophet or book to come after. because of that, preservation is incredibly important. That's why I keep stressing upon this fact that Islam is unique in this, because Islam has to be unique in this. Christianity doesn't have to be unique in this, because after Jesus, peace be upon him, came Muhammad, peace be upon him. Yeah, but after Muhammad, there is nobody else. But coming back to the monarchs, if you're saying they are very important in preserving Christian tradition, then it's integral for them to memorize what they move.
And you just see, and that's a good point. You see, so every one of these titles are deriving from a particular behavior from a person or a group of persons. Remember this. So every one of these titles, so you say Christianity,
You're talking about the Book of Remembrance, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so Christianity, Islam, and Judaism, it's based on the characteristics and the attributes and the behavior of an individual. So remember this. So this is where now, okay, if it's not, yeah, if you're.
This is your belief, by the way, yeah?
Yeah,
Okay.
because it's my inheritance.
Yeah.
So if this behavior now, just like, having passing down through, understanding information, then what is the thing that could be added onto your own natural stance is then now compiled in a way where you have to go through that understanding based on the reading. But that behavior is just a thing that is just taking place. That's why you can still find these monarchs, these clergies, certain standards in society that they have authority. Some people talk about the authority, but they haven't become the authority. That's a difference from a scholar or someone that just had a mindset than someone that's actually, applying the authority, saying, okay, you're not doing this, let me take you and charge you with an offense. That's two different things. So we have to now move from the scholarly mentality to the attributes and the behavior which is becoming, because again, the Prophet, he had the attribute, he had the behavior to become who he is. That's why, we're trying to follow this upstandingness of these different prophets, because it's a behavioral thing. It's not just a word thing, because the word in its original meaning is coming from an expression, so it's an expression that someone does.
Okay, this is very significant what you've said.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting if you stick by it. So you're saying definitely. In Christianity, it's more behavioral based and not text based, yeah?
Based on the level of character, the level of dignitary, level of individual, level of house.
Okay.
Just like with every other.
So you're saying that,
parts of, society.
So dignity, characteristics, all of that, you're giving this, and you're saying text comes secondary, yeah?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Okay. In Islam, we put them both together. Yeah? Why? Because characteristic and behavior is not something we can measure 1400 years down the line. Yeah? Because the Prophet was 1400 years ago. We can't measure his behavior, his characteristics and stuff like this. So that's why, because Islam, we claim it's for everybody, all encompassing. Therefore, it is important that we have a yardstick, a pH test, a litmus test that people can measure down the line. Yeah, academics can measure. Yeah, kids can understand, adults can understand, and it's not reliant on an abstract thing like behavior and characteristics, which is very difficult to measure. You just have to take somebody's word for it. So we're saying we put them both together, so a rational person can come and they can critique the text, because your behavior and your characteristics is reliant upon the text. Yeah, because it's the text that's being preached. You go to the church, the Bible is being read. Whenever somebody does a specific act, they quote the Bible. It's not the other way around.
Great what you're saying. And I could say there's one point where you're saying that it's obviously the text, you put everything put here, right? So showing you, for you to have a community, right? That community is based on behavior, firstly. So the information that you give the community would change the behavior of that community. So if you only get a certain amount of information, you would have that community will have a certain amount of behavior. So that's why there is different understanding of different communities and how they are ranked. So that's what I mean. So the information that someone might be reading, right, it could be limited to their behavior. That's why I mentioned the Prophet had, again, his behavior characteristic is proven through his community, his family members that could identify to say that, okay, he was a military man. He was an upstanding, because they seen it for themselves. They use their whole senses instead of something that is being written down. That's why even to this day, there's certain people that trying to uphold that standard in society, and they've seen that it's very hard, you understand, to uphold that society, because they're only
Lancelot,
reading
how do
the
you know?
actual context.
How do you know that what they've said about character and behavior is correct?
Because it is recorded more than one place, right? It is more. I could ask not just you, but I could go to Saudi Arabia, I could go to Mecca and ask these people about, and they would tell you, yeah, he's an upstanding man. He was in this place. This is his family. So it's a base of a character, behavior, and all these things.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what would you say about the character and behavior of Siddhartha, also known as Buddha? Was he a good man or was he a bad man?
See, I would have to find more information about that.
From what you've read,
yeah.
did he cause mischief, and was he calling people to do harm, or was he calling people to meditate? Sorry, did you want to say something?
You're talking about the Buddha.
The Buddha, yeah.
Yeah. The Buddha showed people to be compassionate to every person.
Yeah, exactly.
But the Buddha says there is no God. You are God.
Exactly, yeah.
You are God.
Precisely.
And you choose your own destiny.
Yeah.
So in Buddhism, you try and do good, but there is no God. So I don't know what they have.
Yeah, they don't believe in organized religion, and in fact, they don't even believe that Buddha was God. So, Lancelot. No, you can interrupt. This is initially your, and plus we're okay. We're not like shooting anyone down or anything. We're just having a nice conversation. So, based upon what Victor says and the textbooks and our understanding of Buddha, he didn't, go around killing people. He wasn't somebody that was causing harm to people. Same with Guru Nanak of the Sikhs. He wasn't a bad man. Yeah. So he had character. He was upstanding. He was a good person. People can verify. You can go to different countries. They'll verify that. Would you now accept him?
That he's a good man?
No, that he is a leader of a religion or a prophet.
For his community, I could say, yeah, like, look, he has a community.
No, for you as well.
For me, I could acknowledge that he done something good enough to raise up a community cause.
But
that would be a natural thing. If someone go and build a school, you're not gonna be like,
no, but
because
Lancelot,
he didn't build a school, he does. You know what I mean? You're rating up an individual by what he does. You know what I'm saying? Not what he says.
Okay.
Because everyone, like I say, have different way of expressing themselves. So you have to see what the person do first.
Okay.
Understand, sir?
Yeah, I do. So if people say, he was good, if people say he was righteous, he had wisdom, and then he says, I'm a prophet, follow me, there's no reason for you not to follow him. So my question
there's more detail, there's more information, which would
how would you get that information?
Based on that's what I'm saying, based on a chain, based on behavior
text,
of people that text.
So,
because that said text is a part of the same people. Because the text that you're reading as in a descriptive. Because there is a real object that you're writing the text based on. It's not just fairy tale. It's like real. That's why you could identify there's a prophet. Because it's a real human being. It's a part of your inheritance, of our inheritance, for everyone inheritance, to see that human character can have a high standards in society, and as a high standards to be a prophet, to be even a god, you understand, or whatever the level of standards that you could observe tangible is. You understand? Because the tangible.
So on what criteria would you say Sikhism is wrong?
What criteria? I would have to look into it more.
Sikhism.
Yeah.
Sikhism, the Sikh religion is one of the oldest religions in the Punjab. They are warriors, right? And what they do, they're beautiful people, I'm telling you, because you go to their temple.
They're amazing people.
You can eat food. You can eat all their food.
Is that the criteria, Victor? Yeah.
And you
come to my house today.
You can go in their temple and and worship the way they worship, even though you don't know, because they believe in the book what I don't know what it's called. They believe that
Guru Granth Sahib, yeah.
that it's alive, and they take it to bed and they look after it. And because when I'm sitting there, they say, "What's this guy doing this for?"
Yeah.
No, he's blessing the book.
They're removing the flies,
Because
like, yeah.
The original guru in the Sikh religion, Guru Nanak,
Yes.
he was lifted up into heaven. He I don't know where, in the Punjab, he came in the presence of God, and he came down and said, "This man is wise," and so on. Every Sikh has a warrior, so they follow that certain person. So like Buddhism, where the Buddha said, I can tell you a story where where a man says to Buddha, said, "Is there a God?" And Buddha says, "There is no God." And a man says, "I believe, Buddha, I believe in God, am I right?" And the Buddha says, "There is a God." And one of his followers said, "You just told him there isn't a God," and he said, "There is a God." But Buddha told him, it's up to the person. If it makes him good, then let him believe that God makes him good. So, you know.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but
No.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, it's fine, it's fine.
Because when you look at Buddhism, everyone thinks I wouldn't say it's a religion. I say it's a way of life.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
But there's a lot of
Buddhism
pagan-
actually doesn't claim to be a religion. They don't even believe in a God.
You and me are gods. And we
According
make
to
our
Buddha,
own
yeah.
destiny.
Yeah.
You know.
Enlightenment.
Yeah.
So then my criteria was
Sorry
this.
about that.
No, of
Go
course.
on,
Yeah. So the criteria is this. For us, anybody can come along and say, yeah, I'm God, or we've got a religion. You have to look at what they're saying. You have to analyze their scriptures and their text and the evidence they're bringing. That's what I'm saying, Lancelot. Yeah, I know you're. Yeah, and I think, look, Lancelot, this is very important. Yeah, the fact that I was able to stand here, give you chains like it's nothing. Yeah, tell you that now we have a part of the Quran which dates back to the time of the Prophet, and it's not preserved in some Muslim country. It's in this country. It's in Birmingham. The University of Birmingham has the oldest codex. It's a fragment that dates all the way to the time of the Prophet. No Christian can make this claim that they have a piece of the Bible that dates back all the way to Jesus. That's what I'm saying. So in terms of...
Well, like I say...
Oh, do you?
There's old text.
But at time of Jesus, though.
There is old text that has been preserved, like the Ethiopic book.
It doesn't go to the time of Jesus.
Very old.
It is very old, you're right, but it doesn't go to the time of Jesus.
True, because like I say, it's based on those his community and the people that are around him that is, laying down that message. And the same for, like I say, Islam as well. It's the people that are around him that is collecting these texts and putting it together. So there is that element of collection. There is that element of, you understand?
But Lancelot, when it comes to Islam, it happened at the time of the Prophet. He was overseeing the writing down of the Quran, the verification of the Quran, and the fragment. In fact, the whole Quran had been written down before the Prophet had passed away. Then it was collated by Abu Bakr radiallahu anh, and then later it was put in order. Yeah. But my point, Lancelot, is exactly this. That when it comes to, this is what Victor was talking about as well. You cannot make this claim about the New Testament. Nothing.
No, I don't really subscribe to the New Testament.
Oh, you don't accept the New Testament?
Not as
verbatim word of God.
Only in terms of what is being remembered.
Yeah.
Okay.
You understand what I'm trying to say? Because it's still just like the Quran. It's still a confirmation of things that happen. You understand?
When you say just like the Quran,
but it's a confirmation itself.
So Quran.
It's not a confirmation, no?
The confirmation. I agree with the confirmation bit.
It's a confirmation, right?
But what you're implying, which is that they're both on a similar kind of playing field, I would disagree with that.
The reason why, because there was an offer before that. There has been an offer. There has been a chain of authorization of God's word.
Yeah,
you
but
understand?
okay.
And that chain starts from Moses.
I think I've got that now.
That's what I'm trying to say.
But okay, I've understood your point, which I think you made before, but maybe I misunderstood it. But
We're helping each other.
yeah, but Lancelot, what's very important that you've said, I think you'll agree as well, which is, so you're saying that, okay, you've got the Quran, which before the Quran was the New Testament, before that was the Old Testament, before that was the Psalms, and so on. Yeah, then the Book of David and all that.
So it's a chain of narration, a chain of authority that uphold that one understanding.
We say every single book in that chain is weak.
You say that?
Yeah, fabricated and changed.
It's a good challenge.
Yeah, and in fact, to such a degree, because I've come in the park after a long time. This is actually at the end of the Book of John. Yeah, there's big discussion and debate that the end of the Book of John has been added in. It's not in the old codexes. It simply does not exist. In fact, the Trinitarian verse simply does not exist. The story of Jesus, where they came to him and brought an adulteress forward, and then this story is used, and then Jesus, peace be upon him, supposedly said, "Oh, let you who are pure cast the first stone." And people say that this is a very...
He that without sin first cast the first stone.
Sorry?
That's what Jesus said. He that's without sin.
Without sin.
First cast the first stone.
But the old codexes don't have this. This is something that's been added in. And most Christian authorities accept this anyway. That's why even in the preface, you follow the King James, you read the King James version, isn't it?
I read it.
So I'll request you.
I don't follow the King James.
Yeah, no problem. So do you accept it?
Not every part.
Okay, brilliant.
Because it's a version.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Certain, understand there's versions of a lot of, so that's why you have to.
That was my point. You made my point for me.
You have to research. You have to do things with authority.
Okay.
Not scholarly, but with authority. So knowing that there is a chain of authority, so you have to, because you want to get things right. You want to make sure that your behavior is right.
Yeah.
So you have to follow the authority.
So Lancelot, it brings me back to this initial point. We don't have, according to a Christian, we don't have the original text. We have the rough meaning of the text. We know things have been added in and taken out. How do you know what you believe and follow is not something that's been added in or taken out? For example, I'll give you an example. So there's an example that says that if you are a true believer, you can drink poison and it's not going to affect you, or you can speak in tongues. This verse, Christian scholars actually say, is an interpolation. It's added in. It's not in the old manuscripts. So how can you tell if you're solely depending on just an abstract tradition that, it's behaviors, characteristics, what behavior that we've learned? How do you know if something has been corrupted or not? How can you measure it?
That's what I'm saying. There are tangibilities, throughout the first authorization, the first word. There are people, there are groups, there are communities that still exist even to this day. That shows it within their words, within their behavior.
Are there loads of communities? Yeah.
There is.
Can you give me one?
Just like I say, there. We have, like I said, we have the Westminster Abbey. You go there and you see.
But family, which family?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'll even show you my family. That's what I'm saying. I am the champion.
I can show you my family as well.
but the reason why I could go and find it in the Book of Remembrance. That's what I'm trying to say. I could go and find.
Okay, you keep mentioning the Book of Remembrance. Okay, let's just say for argument's sake, you got the Bible, yeah? You open up the Bible, Book of Genesis. What chain can you give me for the Book of Genesis?
What chain within?
Because that's the first.
It's all of the chains. It's like, because it's Genesis, it's generations. So it's your generation.
Lancelot.
No, but it makes sense, doesn't it? That's what I'm saying. If you only look at the words other than the behavior, it's going to be hard to fathom, because.
So there's no chain. You would admit that, yeah? For the Genesis chapter.
Well, there's no change in Genesis 1.
No,
chain, like a chain of narration of preservation.
Obviously, there has to be a chain. There is Adam. There is Seth. There is Enoch. There is
No. Okay. But what you do when I say chain is you go to generational chain.
Yeah, because I'm taking it a bit more further than just words.
You can't do that
I'm
though.
taking it to it's a behavior.
Lancelot, let me give you an example. Yeah.
Remember, it's based on the person's information to say what another person. Because remember, it's only based on the information you have given.
Yeah.
That's why I could say, oh, this person cannot become a king, but it's only based on the information that I have received.
Let me give you an example,
Lancelot.
Lancelot. Yeah. Let me give you an example. Maybe I wasn't clear. Yeah. Okay. So I hear from this brother. Yeah. This brother heard from him. He heard from him. He heard from you. Who heard from you. Yeah. So here onwards is a lineage of the Prophet. There onwards is a lineage of Jesus. Yeah. And then of course you got the Prophet that came before him. Yeah. What I'm saying is I can tell you exactly. I heard from him A, from B, from C, D and E. What you're saying is you A heard from E. So your chain. Let me just make this.
Yeah. Sit down and get
of course, no problem.
So you can't go from A to C.
Yeah. So the examples you've given is you've given the example of a prophet and another prophet, but you've got this generation that you've missed out. What we're saying is that the whole point of
I didn't miss out nothing.
Yeah, it's because you said Enoch was a prophet.
Because I didn't get to start from even, as I'm saying, with the authorities, it shows it even in the Quran itself. Yeah. Because there is a family in itself that, again,
family in the Quran?
Yeah, a whole family. It's in the Quran, but yet is of the Old Testament.
Is it family or are you talking lineage?
Whole family.
Lineage or family?
They're both the same. Lineage and family is the same thing.
Not necessarily, because
Show me why.
Yeah, I'll tell you why, and you're going to agree with me as well. Lineage goes from the father. Am I wrong?
Still a part of your family, huh?
Yeah. But the lineage goes with the father, isn't it?
Regardless of the family.
So the mother is not part of the lineage. Agreed?
Of course it is a part of it. It's a part of your blood. You can't take out your mother's blood and say, okay, no. If you don't, that's what I'm saying, based on the information that a person said, if you don't want to honor your mother, then that's fair enough. But your mother is still a part of your lineage. You can't take that away. That's impossible.
You're confusing two.
No,
one is genealogy and lineage in terms of the definition. One is family in terms of the definition. What you're saying fits in with the definition of family, doesn't fit in with the definition of genealogy.
You want to look up genealogy, yeah? Let's do it. Because it's going to still be generational families.
But your point is wives are included, isn't it?
Yeah, because it's based on the information, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If it's based on so if you're living in a community, in a normal standard society, right? And you want to find out
No problem, show me. Where it says wife is part of the genealogy.
Well, your mother, you say mother, not mother, yeah?
No, wife.
I'm just talking about mother, no?
Okay, mother, look up mother, no problem. Okay, look up mother, whatever makes you happy.
So while we're speaking, so in a normal community and normal society, you know, when a mother gives birth, it's recorded. The mother has choice to record her name. That's because obviously you're keeping a lineage of the generation. You have to know where you come from.
Look, we're confusing two things again.
I'm not sure
if you're thinking about modern day times, yes, a mother has her own lineage, the lineage of the mother.
It's still part of the construct. It's not just modern day.
Traditionally, what I'm saying, traditionally, that's not the case. Traditionally, yeah.
Where though? Where?
Traditionally, we talk about from the time of Abraham onwards.
Tradition? Because like I'm saying, in my tradition, we could still identify the mother. That's what I'm trying to say. So it depends on the information on the community. So I have a community that upholds the mother and the father. You may have a community that only upholds the father.
And when you've got both people within the community, will you have the grandfather and the grandmother, everyone in that tree, yeah?
Yeah, the whole tree, yeah. You can't miss out one branch.
Okay, but then you have to bear in mind that also the two trees are going to go in two totally different directions, yeah?
Yeah, of course, but you still could identify where you come from because it has a base.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that if you go from Jesus all the way to Abraham,
yeah, but you're going from a male point of the tree, but there's still the whole female point of the tree as well. You could if you're looking at it from a perspective to say I'm looking at only the male part, then obviously you could bring that up. But if you say you're looking at the whole part, then you're gonna have to
Okay, no
acknowledge
problem.
the mother and the father. Then.
That's fine. I think this is a side point anyway. So coming back to the...
Let me look at the terminology. Because that's why behavior break down. If you're only looking at one point of view, you know, if we look at the whole of it, you will have a better understanding of how to behave. But it's just based on the information that we give it.
The whole point, yeah.
So genealogy, a line of descendant traced continuously from an ancestor. You could read it.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agreed with that. But what I'm saying is traditionally, it was from the males. It wasn't from the females.
That's what I'm saying. From another community's point of view. So I'm saying in my community, I agree with you from where you're coming from. I'm saying in my community we trace both. We acknowledge it. That's why it says there's a part that said honor your mother and father. So your days could be longer.
Right.
You understand? So
you're saying behavior gets passed on textually, or you're saying verbally?
Textually and verbally.
Okay. Textually, you've already admitted that the New Testament has mistakes and is not 100%, yeah? Okay, we've agreed on that. You also agreed upon the fact that you don't have a chain of narration that can give you the details and the criteria that I did. For example...
No, there is, that's what I'm saying. You have the normal society today. You just look in society and you could go look, just like I'll give you. You have the churches, you have the parish. Look, I was born in a parish, right?
Yeah.
I was born in a parish. And this parish has been around forever. It's been around from the time of Muhammad, the time of Jesus, the time of Abraham. It's a parish. So all of that behavior that takes place in that parish is still going on in that parish to this day. It has priests, you know what I'm saying? They still old customs, they still do all of that. So it's like, I'm telling you,
it's all about traditions.
Yeah, traditions.
Traditions of the.
It doesn't change. So the information that one gets about someone else's tradition, is just based on the information. But the behavior, you have to go to that place to know it for truly, because they're trying to interpret something that is not.
Okay, interesting. So you're saying go there. Yeah. So you're saying go there.
That's why. Yeah. That's why it's a part of your behavior. That's why.
What I'm saying is that's not practical.
Why not practical?
Yeah, because if a religion has come for everybody, it's not always practical for somebody to constantly travel to get certain verifications. Yeah, that's the first point. The second point that I was talking about, chains. Yeah. Now, when you actually look at textual criticism, I can quote you books, I can give you evidence. Yeah, Siyar al-Nubala of Imam Zahabi. We've got the compilation of Imam Bukhari, where he's got all the commentators. But Christianity doesn't have anything like that. The most you can say is, oh, you can go to such and such place, and then you can check that and you can do this, but there's nothing that it forms or that it presents in terms of academic literature, that there is a science that you can open up and say that chain, that person in the chain, this is their memory, that's their tribe, that's who they studied with. It's not a single Christian till today has made that claim.
That's what I'm saying. It's based on the information, that part of the culture or part of the religion that you have observed. But that's why there is different form of section in society that you might need to, go and do that practical effort yourself.
I couldn't find anything.
That's what I'm saying. There's always more to learn.
So can you give me one book?
So just like that, that's like you mentioned, the King James version.
Yes.
King James is a real person.
Yes.
He has families. He has to even this day. So. You know what I'm saying? It's not just by word, but the deeds are more important.
But the New International Version disagrees with the King James Version, and the New International Version is actually followed more so than the King James Version. Despite him being a man, despite him having a family, he's been discarded by many Christians. In fact, even in the preface, he himself, despite being a man, despite having a tradition, he himself admits there's many mistakes in there as well.
That's what I'm saying. That's why there's
so
a
in
build-up
Islam,
of arguments. There's a build-up of community arguments. So there's so much difference. Yeah. So if to even prove that it expands out of just religious text, in the Act of England, there's an Act of England. I think it's the Bill of Rights. It's showing you that. So this is outside of religious understanding.
Yeah.
It talks about King James, and it talks about his society, his community that he had, and he's saying that part he's an evil man. He did a lot of wrong. So that's what I'm saying. In his own section of family, there are still people that have different characteristics, but it doesn't say that based on a person that do not have good moral standards. It doesn't mean that the information, the original information, is not original. It's just that that person with that behavior have then, corrupted that information that should be passed clearly.
I think we'll have to. Yeah, I think we'll have to sit down and.
Yeah, I'm saying.
Yeah, do
definitely
it properly.
a sit down.
But let me ask you a question. What do you think about the Prophet Muhammad?
Yes, I think it's a great man. 100%. I think it's a great prophet, great man. Because
Respect.
Of course, because of the, as you can see, it has bring about a culture of people that, supposed to behave, because he has already given his attribute, he's already given his deeds, he's already given the language that he's supposed to speak it. He's already given himself, more than just by word.
Do you believe he was a prophet?
I believe he was a prophet to the society, to his community. I'm saying, to his society, to his community.
But you don't believe he was a prophet?
He come from a lineage. Yeah, he has a lineage also, and that lineage is chasing from Ishmael.
Yeah.
So and Ishmael, again, he changed his lineage into Egypt. So you can see that, all prophet I say is princes, because he's a prince.
I think you're talking about Isaac. That's the lineage, but I think
I'm saying
we use them interchangeably.
Ishmael, he begot 12 princes. Ishmael had 12 princes.
I think according to the Bible, I think that's what you believe. So
and those princes coming out of Egypt, and again, the Prophet Muhammad is a part of that lineage, part of that lineage. And there's others, just like I mentioned. If you have to look this up, as I'm saying, these are based on my, tradition and my behavior, just the way I behave. I have to look into myself. King Edward.
Yeah.
Again, he's a part of the Prophet's lineage. And Empress Menen, she was the Empress of Ethiopia. She's a part of the Prophet's lineage. So, like I said, you have to really look into the.
So the Prophet Muhammad said, "I'm the final prophet. There's no prophet to come after me." And then, of course, he preached the Quran. What do you think about all that?
Well, like I say, it based on today's aspects of how.
Based upon you.
Because I'm in today's aspect, and obviously there has to be proof in that. I'll say I agree to the culture that he is in.
What proof do you require that he was the final messenger?
It's a part of the culture because it's a confirmation.
But ask me, you said you would need proof. What sort of proof do you require?
Well, the proof I require that he's the last prophet.
Yeah, and that you should follow him.
That obviously that it has to have a chain of authority to say that there will be, like God saying, there will be a last prophet. There's nothing else.
That's where Victor's going to come in. Remember, you were giving me the verse of the Bible where you said that even in the Bible it was saying that there is somebody to come afterwards. Deuteronomy chapter 18, verse 18.
In Judaism, they don't recognize Jesus as the anointed, because in Judaism, if you read, they say the Messiah, the Holy One, will come and rebuild Jerusalem. But I don't mean to offend you, but...
No, go for it. Offend me as much as you want.
They say that when he comes, the Muslims will bow down to him because they will recognize him. And every Muslim will fear this Messiah, but when he walks, they go, and he will build Jerusalem, and everybody will be united. But the Jews, my people say, they say that Jesus is not the anointed because none of the prophecies have been fulfilled. It says Jerusalem should be rebuilt. Where is it being rebuilt? where are the holy ones of Israel going back? None of them. I mean, he may disagree. The people in Jerusalem now, in it, are not true Jews. When you look back, because when you look back, European Jews, because God clearly says to us, do not intermix with anybody. Keep your faith. So when you got to the European Jews, they interbreed with other people. So they're not really true Jews because they went against the commandment where it says don't like you say, let's say you have a daughter and I like your daughter. It said no, you can't marry him. I was like, I can convert to Islam. No, it's forbidden. No, she must marry a Muslim who is from birth, not because you converted, must be from the birth of his religion, not someone who convert. And that's the same with Judaism. And people say, well, I've got to convert. The rabbi will say, if you want to convert to our religion, it will take you 6 years. Are you willing to study Judaism for 6 years? And you say, no, that's it. Because Judaism doesn't convert people. So if I said to you, one would turn to Islam, yes, fine, turn. But don't come to our religion thinking it's going to be easy. But when you look at it, you see, we don't know who are the true Israelites. You know, I mean, they're not blonde hair, blue eyes. They're more or less darker skin. I've seen a true Jew here. He's very dark complexion, and I think, oh, you're Arab. I said, no, I'm not a Jew because you look, and that's how when you look. I'm not being racist, because in Islam, if I convert to Islam, I can marry your daughter. In Judaism, that would not be allowed.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, that's the old saying, but that if I was a Muslim and I had my daughter, I said, no. You convert to Islam, you're not getting to marry, you're not marrying my daughter. I have someone who's brought up from birth to be that. But, you know.
I wanted to put a greater point. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Moving forward. Look.
Sorry, I just.
No, it's all right.
It was a good thing that you're saying, and this is why I'm coming from that point. That's why I say like the textual point and the behavioral point, that the behavior exceeds the textual point because the behavior is not also literacy, it's also nationality, it's also cultural. So it's like, okay, so within the textual concept of the interpretation of one's culture, one's nation, one thing, it really gets hard because you would have to experience that person's culture, that person's nationality, that person's, environment. And, just to show you, there's a verse, right, in the Quran. It's Surah 53, and it's 49, right? And it clearly states that, Allah is the Lord of Syria. And in my culture, and in a lot of culture...
Did you quote the Quran there?
Yeah.
You said Anaj.
Yeah, Anaj.
There's no such verse called Anaj.
I said there's Surah 53.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, I'll take it just to confirm it.
So when it's the Quran,
Yeah, that's what I said, just to confirm.
You gotta be very careful.
Yeah, it's a part of my culture to know, sir.
So Quran chapter 52.
Yes, so Surah 53.
Oh, 53.
Yeah.
Surah 53.
Yeah.
Verse
49.
49.
Yeah.
Okay, so Surah Najm. What did you say?
Najm, yeah.
You said.
And Najm, yeah.
I think you gave it your own flex.
No, because that's what I'm saying. So the names are different. That's because it's the name that I got. I don't know the pronunciation. That's why I say language. So for me now, I'm saying, coming outside of that culture, the way I would pronounce it, so you will correct me, because I'm pronouncing it in the way that I have knowledge to. You understand? So, as you can see, in that point, it talks about like I say, the Lord
He's
of
the Lord of a mighty star, which is Sirius.
Yeah. So I think that is a textual understanding. So obviously that needs more than just a textual understanding.
Yes.
Because it's not just a textual understanding. It's a raw expression. It's based on people's culture. It's based on the people's nationality. All of these things, they have a upright dignity from the smallest to the greatest. You know, they uphold this type of thing. So look into the cultural point of it. What does it actually mean? Right? So if you understand what does this mean in the cultural aspect, then look, it says Allah is the Lord of Sirius, right? Start. There is a Lord, there is a God of Sirius, meaning Osiris. But Osiris in the culture, it has a Lord, and that Lord is Afar. So this is a woman. Think about it. This is a woman. That is Lord. So in the culture aspect, which people know this because this is where the houses and the lineage comes in place. You know, like that's what I'm saying. I trace my lineage back to Nefti.
Let me give
These are all a part of the laws, like Mayat. These are all one. These are all family members that, you know, like I say, within culture, they could go to places and time that people in that culture could say, yes, you know, this is true. I'm trying to say, so the language needs more.
I'll respond to that. I think Victor wants to say something.
I mean, Islam has two cultures. You have the Sunni, I think you're Sunni, and you have the Shia. So there's two different faiths in the same religion. But I mean, they say, I can't remember that Ali's supposed to be the successor from the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and the Shia are the true religion, and you're not. So how do you feel having, I mean, if you come across a Shia and you're a Sunni, I think they're, I don't know, I've never seen, but hatred towards each other.
I've met several Shias there. We've had really nice conversations. I think one Shia was asking me for advice a couple of months ago.
But they have a different
so does everybody.
Of the Quran.
Like I might like chicken pizza. Somebody might think chicken pizza is abhorrent. They might go for pineapple, which I think is abhorrent. So we have our different tastes when it comes to pizza. We have our different tastes when it comes to football teams. But what Victor, I'm trying to say with this is Shias and Sunnis both believe in one God. Both Shias and Sunnis believe that the Prophet Muhammad was the final messenger. They both believe that you're supposed to pray 5 times a day, that you give obligatory charity, that you fast in Ramadan, that we respect Ali, that we respect our parents. There's no difference of opinion with regards to these things. Yes, there are certain difference of opinions when it comes to other things, but when it comes to the big picture, the macro, we're very similar. And it depends, Victor, what kind of mentality a person's coming from. If a person's coming from a mentality that every difference is a big thing, then that person's going to hype everything up. They're going to have enmity. It's just like some people get so violent with football teams, but some people are calm with football teams. If, for example, there's an Arsenal or a Manchester United, like if we find out, who do you support?
Don't support anyone.
You don't? Who do you support? Spurs. Tottenham. Who do you support?
Oh man, I support Arsenal.
Arsenal. Then you two should be fighting. Come on.
But it's not that.
It's not that deep because you two are nice people. So it's the same, Victor. The thing is, what you have to realize.
It's by tradition. I would say it's by tradition. My brother support it, so you have to. As my older brother. So
shall I tell you what it is? It's politics.
It's
politics.
Have different cultures.
Victor, it's politics.
No, I wanted to expand with.
Problem is, there's always vested interest. So if you can make two factions disagree, there's always somebody who benefits from it.
Let me give you an example. What he said is a very good point. The democratically elected leader of Iran around 1951-52 was Mohammad Mossadegh. Around 1952. He was removed from power. Because he wanted to privatize oil. BP was a national interest of Britain. So Britain, colluding with America, removed Muhammad Mossadegh and then replaced him with the Shah, and then eventually the Ayatollahs came into power, which if you read a book called Secret Affairs by Mark Curtis, he goes in this with more detail. But that kind of solidifies his point, which is corporate interests, international interests. These have always played a part. In fact, Lord Crewe in 1920, of Britain, made this explicitly clear.
I mean, I'm not putting down Islam. I'm
No.
There's two different.
No, I'm just making a point.
1920,
1920, Lord Crewe explicitly, and this is written down, it's documented. He said it's within our interest to keep the Middle East divided. And the Foreign Office confirms this as well. I think around 1958 or something. There's too many numbers to memorize, but it's in Secret Affairs by Mark Curtis. So again, this thing has been confirmed. Even when the British took over Hindustan, which is a combination of India, Pakistan and Bangladesh, they said when they saw that there was an infighting between Hindus and Pakistanis, Hindus and Muslims, they said this works in our favor. Keep the population divided. And I would say there are certain things to do with gender, to do with this and that. The government actually doesn't care about these things. It keeps the people divided. And the old rule that's worked very well is divide and rule, and eventually divide and conquer.
Just wanted to add to what Victor said.
Go ahead,
right?
Lancelot.
Truly what he's saying, because so for instance, from what I understand and the information, so Sunni, right? There is a sect within Sunni. It has part of a family culture that's dealing with Sufism, mystery, and this is being, transferred or being understood even within the Islamic, empire at that time, from Egypt, from Morocco. They have a tradition that is closely linked to Sunnis, and it's that detail, because now when you now go into Sufism, it talks about the lineage of people, talk about the Mahdi and all these things that that should be coming to pass, and it's also written in the text that Muslims can understand, and they do understand about that branches. So I don't know about the Shia, the other part, if that is involved. So it could differ. That's the part. Like I say, I could more understand about Sunni.
I wasn't getting into politics. That's one thing I wasn't interested in. All I see, when I see what I see, where I see Sunni and Shia, looks like they both hate each other, But they're saying, well, we are the chosen one because Ali chose, from the Prophet Muhammad, peace upon him, as a lineage. And they said that lineage, which was deliberately cut by the Sunnis and so on. One thing, I spoke to many, I think I spoke to you, where they actually whipped themselves with blood pouring from them, and I said to her, is that acceptable in Islam? She said, no, it isn't, because it's not written. But someone said, that's just tradition in that country. That's a tradition to do something. You're doing something, get closer to God or something like that.
I mean,
have you ever seen them do it?
I have, and our stance is clear, isn't it? To harm oneself is forbidden, especially cutting yourself and blood coming out. That's something forbidden. But the point still stands. You were talking about Sufism, So when it comes to Sufism, there's Sufis, technically speaking, they're not non-Muslims. When you speak about Sufis, their heavy emphasis on spirituality. So we don't believe that it's a separate sect.
Okay, that's even that's a good thing.
So for example, you'll have somebody that's emphasizing more on tafsir. Go for it. So Victor, look, it totally depends on who you're interacting with, and ask them, there's a reason. Why do you hate the Shia so much? Yeah, why do you hate the Sunni so much? Sometimes it's because you're supposed to, based upon the country that you're in. Yeah, sometimes it's because, oh, they allege that this happened or that happened, but this is further being exacerbated by politics. Like, I know you don't want to speak about politics, but Victor, politics is a major player.
Same with Christianity.
Yeah, definitely. In fact, Constantine, the Emperor Constantine, yeah.
He was a pagan king in some other part. And then
very important for Christianity.
He's supposed to have seen God, and then it changed from paganism to Christianity.
Yeah.
Byzantine Empire.
That's where the Easter, the Christmas, and everything was added. Because in the Old Testament, that is forbidden. That is forbidden. You're supposed to celebrate the Sabbath. When you celebrate the Sabbath, you're not even allowed to switch a light on.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to set a fire. You're not even allowed to do anything. If I was there, I say, can you come and put the light on for me?
Yeah.
They have on Friday. It's about 6. They put a special light on. It goes on and off, on and off.
Wow.
And have 2 separate cookers. Because you're not allowed to eat meat with the milk and all that. It's separate. It's the law of Moses. Like that young man you arguing. The law of Moses. I mean, I don't know much about Islam, but there must be a culture in Islam where there's like, this is our tradition. Well, Muslim, but this is our tradition, how we do things.
Yeah.
And some Muslims say, no, it's not in the Quran, my friend. You're going the wrong way.
The thing is,
they would say, well, I was taught this when I was growing up. I mean, in Pakistan, there's a few which I've seen.
I was very honest of you. I mean, if you don't know, you don't know. But yeah, in Islam, we don't go against tradition unless it goes against a principle of the Quran or the sayings of the Prophet or Islam in general. So coming here, if for example there's a tradition after, let's just say Sunday, after Speaker's Corner, we go and we have a ploughman sandwich. Yeah, got to have a bit at the ploughman's, huh? Because the people that don't eat meat from the shops, I mean, the best that we have is ploughman's. Now, I'm going to ask myself, is the bread legit? Is legit. The cheese legit, tomatoes legit, the lettuce legit, the sauce, everything's legit, I can have it. But if you say that today, say, Zishan, let's go. The ploughman's tradition, I'm going to say no. Why? Because today, if I go, it's violating the principle of Ramadan, fasting. Yeah? So today I will say, Victor, I will respectfully decline your offer today because I'm fasting and I can't go. Yeah, so normally I would love to have that ploughman's with you and a cup of tea and everything, but yeah, in this regard.
There is a law in the Quran, so if you are ill, then you don't have to do Ramadan.
Yeah, exactly.
Or if you're in hospital,
yes.
Or you on a journey.
Yes.
And do it afterwards.
Exactly, make it
afterwards when things. But that's more like, I can say. I mean, true fasting is not eating nothing from 12 midnight all the way up to 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Not drinking water or touching anything. But as I said, well, again, I've seen programs where we should just fill themselves up. This is going to last me for the whole day.
Yeah.
But when you read the Bible in the Old Testament, fasting means no water, no food. And all you do is just sit in the temple and pray to God.
Is it longer than dusk till dawn?
Yeah, in the Old Testament, you see what King David did.
Summer with Saul, yes.
With
multiple
Bathsheba,
days.
when she's going to have his son, and he wanted God to let that child live, and he fasted. And when God said, no, I'll take him, and he stopped. Because when you fast, you're saying to God, I want something in return for I'm showing you that I'm loyal. I mean,
but was that fast obligatory upon the whole community, or done
No,
by a
that
few
was
people.
just for King David. Because
Okay.
He had how can I say it in a nice way? Had an affair with somebody else's wife.
No way.
Yeah. And
You guys believe that?
yeah, he had
Oh.
King David had many wives
Okay.
and many concubines, but God chose him. He said, "You're going to be," but like I said, "You will not build my temple because your hands are full of blood."
Okay.
Because you went and then Solomon, his son, took over and built the temple.
Yes.
But I mean, it's.
I think, Victor, that's the point though, isn't it? For us, fasting is for everybody. Whether you're a mother, whether you're a wife, whether you're a student, whether you're a father, whether you're a builder, whether you're a farmer. So because of that, fasting is practical. It's done for a specific period of time, because some even sociologists say that if you do something for a month, it instills that habit within you. So it's verified, but the main aspect is this: Islam is practical, and Islam is for everybody. That's why we say Islam is a way of life, and Islam has come for everybody. That's, I think, the distinction between the fasting of, say, the previous generations and us. And I think even the Prophet, we do something at just before Fajr, the first prayer, before the sunrise. We have food called suhoor, and the Prophet said it is from us to have suhoor, and that distinguishes us from the people that came before. So yeah, you're correct that they would fast longer, but obviously it's not practical, and that's the beauty of Islam, the fact that it's just so practical.
Islamic, like it's more like it's like the new version. Like it's updated.
It's like updated, yeah. Guys, you want to take these? Yeah? Assalamu alaikum. How are you?